I was born to a teenage woman, a teenage lady, and she dropped out of school very early to take care of me.
Right.
And we grew up in a very small area in Libreville, the capital city, which is one of the slums. And she met, coincidentally, an older Ghanaian. Yeah, she met him, and she had two other kids with them, two boys. We're living in a wooden house, and anytime you're passing by, you could see the holes, on the walls, and you could technically see what somebody is doing in there in your house. That's to tell you how poor the area was. But our school was strategically positioned in an environment that showed a clear difference between two ways of living. And one way, you had the slum where I was, and all the other kids with roads that were not paved and shortage of electricity, flooding all the time during the rain, all these, things you can imagine in the slum. But on the other side, there was this nice area, paved roads, electricity. And I remember when my friends would take me to their place there on the other side, they had a refrigerator. Can you imagine? and not only they had a refrigerator, but they had fruits in the refrigerator, food in there. And when time to eat, the time to eat will come, I will look at my friend's plate and I'm like, wow, somebody can eat like that. And I always enjoyed it when my friends would take me over. They would show us their video games and all these things that can mesmerize a kid. And as a young boy, I always questioned myself and trying to understand, how do the people living in these other areas made it? What qualified them to live in that area, and what is it that we have that make us live in this slum? One thing that is interesting is, even if you live in a poor condition, even if you don't have much money, even if you don't have enough resources, dreaming is still free. They don't charge you for dreaming, And my mom, with our small television that we had, black and white television that we had in our house, she liked TV drama. And that series drama was Courtroom. And it was just a spectacle of lawyers, pleading cases, speaking so eloquently, this fight of words and debates. And the more I was watching it, the more I fell in love with it. And I asked my mom the different roles. Who is that person defending this man? And she told me, this is the lawyer. So I built up that dream that I wanted to become a lawyer. But I didn't know how to go about it. My mom was an interesting person. She was a fighter. Even if she didn't have much, she encouraged me to dream. And she's like, hey, you know what? You can be that person. And you can be a lawyer.
Very important.
Until when I was 13 years of age, my mom passed away. It became a complete chaos because even the little dreams that I had, and the person who was instigating them, pushing me, was no longer there. So things changed completely because we had nobody to take care of us anymore. My stepfather also fell sick. And he couldn't take care of us, me and my two younger brothers. So they had to send us to the village to live with our grandmother. And that was a complete new world, Because I was already exposed to that difference in the capital city, and I somehow had already had this image of me becoming a lawyer. As I started going to school in that village, I met a teacher who saw something in me, something that I didn't see, something that maybe My mom also had seen that I didn't see.
Right.
So he saw something in me and he told me, Boris, you're a different young man. And he told me for the first time, I heard the words, Boris, you have a bright future. And in my mind, I was like, this man doesn't know where I'm coming from.
Right.
But somehow I also stopped and said, hey, he's in a village. He might know what he's talking about.
Right.
But then I started to ask, I have a bright future. If you think so, how is it going to happen from this place?
Right.
Right? But he continued. He was my friend teacher. He continued to tell me those things. He usually exposed me in the class.
Right.
Whenever there is something, he would ask me questions.
Right.
And always come directly to me, leaving other students, you know, making me the bright guy in the class, even when I didn't ask for it.
Right.
It was trying to awaken my spirit that was already battered by all the things that I had gone through. And my dreams came up thanks to that man. From that moment, I began to dream more again. And I remember one day in that small village, I saw a plane. And you know, when you're in a village, you only see planes like a small spot in
the sky, right?
The sky. And I saw that plane passing. And I remember I pointed to that plane and I said to myself, one day I will board you. You know, I'll board you. It's still vivid in my mind. Time has passed. I graduated from school, from that small village, went to the capital city after high school. And I was starting university back home. I did my first year, but the dream was always there.
Right.
Until one day, my father, real father, biological father, I discovered him. You know, we met for the first time. And he called me and he's like, hey, I saw in the news that the Korean embassy is giving scholarships. And I think you can give it a shot.
Right.
Go and get some information and see how it works. So I went there to the embassy, got the information necessary, and I asked them, how is it, what's the procedures and everything, and by when should we submit the documents and stuff. And they told me, while you're here asking for information, 40 people have already applied. I'm like, what?
You were there to just get information and they're looking at you thinking, this guy's in serious. We already have 40 applicants.
40 applicants. They already had 40 applicants duly applied, waiting for results, while I was still there asking for information. I had the presence of mind to ask the guy, but excuse me, if 40 people have already applied, how many people do you usually select?
Right.
He said, young man, you better just go and do your application. I'm like, no, I'm serious. How many people would you select? He said, usually we take 1 or 2 people.
Of course.
I said, what? Yeah. But 40 people have already applied. He said, we're not even done yet.
More applicants, right?
More applicants will come. I said, okay, fair enough. I went, did my application. I remember, and I'll close with it, when I went to that American lady who was translating my documents to apply for the scholarship. I was still applying, but she's the first person, after she translated all the documents, I went to get them back. When she handed me the documents, the envelope, she said, good luck in your new life. And I'm not even selected. She's like, hey, good luck in your new life. Long story short, at the end, the guy called me and he's like, you're one of the survivor of...
like the survival.
You're one of the survivors of 100. I don't remember if it was 150 or 300 applicants, and they only took 2. They selected 2.
Right.
And I was part of them. That's what took me here to where I am today. So back to your question, I didn't choose Korea.
You didn't choose, right.
I usually tell people Korea chose me.
Right.